Welcome to the London Outlook for Monday, the 18th of December 2023, kicking off with the economic calendar. As you can see, there is no red folder news for the day, which essentially means there's no news considerations for the rest of the day in terms of how we trade. Starting on GBPUSD with the daily in specific, what we can see is Friday actually closed bearish. As anticipated, given that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive bullish days, and the likelihood of Friday also being a bullish day was highly unlikely. As a result of this, we could trade both longs and shorts on Friday because of the ERL situation, the ERL momentum situation, merely because we were above the 4-8 swing structure. Then what we can see for today is that Friday's wick didn't actually go higher than the previous day's wick, and thus we can validate that we actually have a new swing level, a swing high validation point right here. As a result, this invalidates any 4H ERL continuation momentum scenarios to continue to the upside. What it does mean is that we do have the pro-trend phase revalidation, and given this fact, we can also consider if the pullback phase has been validated. What you can see from the 4-hour is that there are no proper OBs formed which can validate the pullback phase, not until we reach the 4H extreme. So for the purposes of trading today, there isn't any scope for shorting, and there's likely to be no scope for shorting, at least not until we actually break this 4-8 swing structure, because at no point are we able to actually validate the pullback phase. Then moving on to the pro-trend phase that we are able to trade and have validated as a result of this swing high being validated on the daily, we can only pretty much trade longs for the rest of the time, at least until we come a lot lower. So having said that, we can essentially assess what are our options in this leg. Obviously we have the extreme that is nicely formed. However, our other alternative is these supply and demand buy to sell wick flips. And the only reason these make sense to trade is because the actual pro-trend leg is validated, and using this buy to sell wick is aligned to what the technical analysis currently is. However, given the nature of buy to sell wicks, we only consider trading them if I guess the point I'm trying to relay is buy to sell wicks are not that strong. So your options are to either ignore them and wait for price to come to the swing low, or create a new high and validate new OBs, or you can trade this buy to sell wick on the fact that it is part of the pro-trend leg and it's not causing a change of character of any kind. Essentially what I'm trying to say is you can't use buy to sell wick OBs to validate order flow shifts on a 4-hour. For example, in our instance, if we're trying to validate a pullback phase, we can't do so with buy to sell wicks. We need a clear validated OB to rely on. I guess to summarize, on the 4-hour, essentially we have a level which can help validate 5, 15 and 30-minute pro-trend legs to then continue to the long side with the ultimate target of the swing high structure. Then moving on to the 15-minute, what we can see is we have this chalk level right here, and we can consider trading based on this primary leg. However, we do have to consider previous session liquidity. In our case, when Frankfurt opens, we need one side of the Asia range to be liquidated before we can actually consider a long from this OB or this OB. There is sufficient liquidity in the leg. But yeah, I think just carefully evaluate where you are entering from. But I think your stop loss below the actual low of the day is probably a good idea. But yeah, that's dependent on how far your entry is and how big your stop loss is. But that's just my view at present. Like I said, longs only for the day. To summarize, longs only for the day, and previous session liquidity being a big consideration and positioning yourself accordingly. A stop loss placement is a bit judgmental. We do have only one direction to trade, but yeah, I think just ensure that you're happy with your stop loss. It is a bit of a judgmental aspect, so make sure you are happy with it. Yeah, so that essentially brings me to the end of day review for sorry, the end of the London outlook for today, and we'll chat again for the New York outlook.